Day one of the Business of Semiconductor Summit. It has really, really been a very, very interesting, exciting day. I mean, I've attended God knows how many conferences over the years, Junko, and so have you. We've attended together. You've gone somewhere yourself. This is one of probably one of the best that I've had the pleasure of participating in. The guests have been wonderful. The technology started with a little hitch, and then everything settled down. We're making some headway, and this has really been an exciting day so far.
Yeah, I think I was really touched by the willingness of our people who showed up for the panel and come to the live Q&A sessions. And I think this was really action-packed day one, I'd
Mm.
have to say. And it was really issue-oriented, right? It wasn't the one company product pitch, how great my product is. This is about let's solve this problem. We see issues here. And I think the honesty of people to acknowledge that, software defined vehicle is really not here yet. That sort of um, humbleness, but also the willingness to talk about it. I think that was really the hallmark of day one of this business of Semiconductor Summit today.
I couldn't have put it better, Junko. I think you summed it up very, very well. People came after having recordings, and yet they answered questions frankly. We didn't have a single person try and dodge any questions. They acknowledged challenges in the industry. They also identified opportunities, stateside and globally. They talked about the different technologies, but somehow everybody seemed to have found a way to bring the technology into sync with the business side. I think that's, for me, it's a validation of the reason for having the Business of Semiconductor Summit, the BOSS, as we call it, summit, because it's like folks needed to talk about the business side. The last session we just had with folks from the heartland of the automotive industry, talking about supply chain challenges, identify problems. We had somebody just say to us that, look, as of today, even today, they had conversations with a tier one having conversations with the supplier, with the customers, the OEMs. This is the kind of thing that we need to do much more in this industry: identify problems, identify opportunities, and then chart a plan for going forward.
Yeah. And I was actually really glad that Linnell McKay came to the uh, our
Absolutely.
conference early in the morning. It was great. I mean, I think we tend to underestimate the power the feds have. I mean, the things that we did a couple of more interviews in the last couple of weeks, while you and I,
Right.
and I was surprised when Linnell was talking about, we just don't look at, we look at the papers, the applications, but we actually model the chip. We actually model the chip. Not that we can actually see the future, otherwise they could make a lot of money, I guess, but they actually do due diligence. And that's the power of the government that I had not really given much thought about before. So I really thanks for the Department of Commerce to make somebody available for us to listen to. Yeah.
Talking about the power of governments, over years, we've written extensively and asked questions, cynically, I should say, sometimes about India's desire to have its homegrown semiconductor business and industry and have fabs in the country and all that stuff. And it hadn't happened. Now, everybody seems to think, a lot of people think now that India is just on the bridge, just right there, well positioned, better positioned now to actually have the semiconductor industry locally. Now, who are the drivers of this? There are companies like Siva, the IP company, and then there are companies like Bolt who are also on the equipment side and all that. But then there's the government of India almost kind of taking a play, or borrowing the playbook from the CHIPS Act. All right, we'll give you so much, and then the ecosystem will also support. One of the things that I think Line from the Commerce Department mentioned that I found interesting, the angle of R&D and education, the ecosystem of those two. That's what's going to carry the industry forward. And she talked about how, as Junko was saying, she talked about how they examined proposals and then they brought in folks to support whatever it is that proposal is offering, and to make sure that it can be actualized rather than just something on paper.
Yeah. And let's not forget the fireside chat between the Brian Weimer and Phil Kopman about the life cycle of AI. And at the end of the session, I told them that now we have a new hashtag for all of us to ask questions to companies who provides AI infused or AI enabled vehicles or consumer products. Hashtag, what's your plan?
What's your
That
plan?
was
That's the truth. What's the plan? Seriously, Brian and Phil talked about the significance of AI. We all know it's here, and they acknowledge the fact that it's gonna impact the industry. It's gonna impact every single one of us. But beyond the immediate impact of AI is, they're asking these kind of questions about how, what is the next phase of the plan? Do you have a plan for dealing with the, as we like to say, the unintended consequences?
It's just getting out the products, AI enabled products. That's half the battle, or actually even, people are still struggling with it, right? Defining it. But at the same time, what those two gentlemen were talking about, it's like, go beyond that. What's the life cycle? That how do you plan? Because your cost of supporting the software, AI learning, AI hardware for the next 10 years, it's going to snowball, and you eventually, you didn't plan on it, but you turn your car, the brand new car, you sell it to your customers and, well, goodbye. No, 10 years from now, car companies will be held accountable for somehow keep the car running, or just let the customer know, hey, just break it. We can't support this because we don't have chips and we don't have time and money to support the AI software 10 years from now. That's a great thought.
What our panelists are saying is this, that, it's not enough to have great batteries for your EVs. What's the plan for disposing of those batteries when they reach end of life? And if you don't have a solution now, they're saying, okay, all right, we understand that you don't have a solution now, but are you thinking about it? Are you asking those questions? Are you collaborating with your suppliers? Are you looking at government regulations that's going to impact? I'm just using the battery issue as an example because it extends beyond that. So what is your total cost over the life cycle of the end product? In this case, let's take a vehicle that we think that we can just do an upgrade. But what if the hardware is no longer supporting the software upgrade that you want to do? Or maybe the functionalities have changed and those software, they're no longer necessary. So what both of them said, Phil said, look, you do need to have a plan for stage two, stage one and stage two. Okay, first generation, second generation, as he put it. And Brian's position was, okay, you may not have a plan, but you should be asking yourself, what should I be doing? What should I be preparing for 10 years down the line?
Because life cycle needs to be planned when you design your first product. I mean, you'd have to have the plan. That was their point. Actually, we also had this Jean-Christophe Eloy, our keynote speaker. And that was a very detailed look at AI from various angles, actually, from memories to processors to, I mean, that was really deep. You know, we for those of you who attended who registered for the session, you will get the copy of the PDF that he created. But I think one of the things that struck me was that all the details, numbers, and the stuff that he covered, what really struck me was that AI, we're still building the infrastructure. It's the AI is not one thing. It's AI is not a magic that to solve everybody's problem. Everybody has to come up with the kind of vertical application that works for your domain. And that work has hardly started. That was a wake-up call for me too.
It was for me also. If you look at who's really benefiting from AI right now, based on Jean-Christophe Illoy's presentation, there are basically three groups. There are the memory manufacturers, there are the foundries, or maybe we can just say the TSMC, and then there are companies like NVIDIA. Okay, and if you break it down and see who's actually making the most money from the component side, well, of course, you know, you have NVIDIA making money from GPU, CPU, and then the cream on top of it. And then you have the memory manufacturers who, you know, they basically more than doubled their sales, and they have pricing advantage because of high bandwidth memories, HBM, that they're selling into the AI space. Then you have the small sliver that goes to the foundry. The thing that Jean-Christophe mentioned that really struck, you know, that struck a note with me was a statement that, you know, the next generation has to be the usage. Infrastructure is being built, as Junko rightly noted, but then what about the applications? How is it going to be used? There are some people using AI right now and they're good at it, but in order for you to create that mass that benefits everybody, we need to have more usage applications behind it.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, day 2 comes upon us very, very soon. For day 2, you have a treat coming. I'm not going to go through it. Just go to semiconductorsummit.com to see what's coming up tomorrow. But we will start early, and we're looking forward to another spectacular event on BOSS 2024. Junko, it's really been a pleasure hosting this with you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, we'll see everybody tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.